Well, we've talked a lot about the trade. What are the Pacers actually getting on the court with Ivica Zubac and Kobe Brown? Lucas Hann, who covers the Clippers for a long time right now for 2-1-3 Hoops, joins us to break down both of the Pacers' new players on today's weekend bonus Locked On Pacers podcast.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Happy Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday /weekend/ whenever you're tuning in, and welcome into another edition of the Locked On Pacers podcast, where we, of course, talk about the Indiana Pacers. As always, my name's Tony East. I cover the team for Forbes and Circle City Spin, and today we've broken down the trade of Ivica Zubac and Kobe Brown and the Pacers. We've broken down when he'll join the team, what he'll actually add in the Pacers' perspective. What about someone who covers the Clippers and has seen Zubac's almost entire career? Lucas Hann is exactly that, and he's going to join us today to break down that. What is Zubac going to bring to the Pacers, his strengths, his weaknesses, how he sees this fit coming together for the Pacers. We also talk a little Kobe Brown. Not exactly a glowing review from Lucas, but there's a reason he was in this trade. And we talk a little bit about the trade itself from his perspective and some philosophical parts of this, from the Clippers side of things. Really, really fun conversation. Hope you guys enjoy it. We'll be talking Pacers Raptors tomorrow after the Super Bowl. Let's just get right to it. Ivica Zubac and Kobe Brown are on the Indiana Pacers, and we need to learn more about them because they haven't played yet. We'll see when that actually is going to happen. And who better than somebody who's covered almost all of Zoo's career and all of Kobe Brown's career to this point for 2-1-3 Hoops, and maybe more places when Zubac was on the team originally. It's Lucas Hann from now 2-1-3 Hoops, one of the greatest blogs covering any team in the league. Lucas, hello. How are you?
Oh, thanks. That's very kind of you, Tony. It's good to be here. How are you doing?
I'm excellent. The trade deadline was a doozy, as I'm sure it was for you as well. The Clippers are younger and more interesting now, though, right? Right? That's good.
They are absolutely younger and more interesting, and they have more draft capital than they have had at any point in the last 6 years or so.
For now,
yeah. I will the Clippers be using those picks? I know less, but they at least they have picks to use, whether that's in the draft or in a trade.
Well, you know these players that the Pacers now have better than anyone, and Zoo was amazing last year, close to All-NBA, all-defense level guy. Kobe Brown is extremely unproven at this time in the league. We'll get to him later, but we obviously should start with Zubac. What makes him, like, the resume is very obvious on paper. The things he's good at is very obvious. Every player names the same and recites rebounding, physicality, defense, things of that nature. Is that the pitch? And what to you makes him so good and made him so good last year that the Pacers were willing to pay this price to get him?
Yeah, I mean, I think Zoo is a top 10 center in the NBA. And I actually think at one point I went through with Adam Osland, who does radio for the Clippers. We were going through the centers in the NBA, and we were looking at based on production last year. So taking out guys like, an Embiid who's injured and whatever. And I think we came up with he was probably the 5th best center in the NBA last year. And then there are young guys coming up and guys come back from injury. So probably top 10. He's extremely solid defensively. He's a really big floor raiser. The Clippers have played some awful defensive units around Zubac over the years and still had pretty good defensive ratings with those lineups. He's a great rebounder. He's a particularly good offensive rebounder. So he creates a lot of extra possessions on the offensive end. That's his main value add on offense. But in more recent years, last 2 years or so, he's really improved as a passer out of the short roll. He's really improved as a post player, so actually throwing it into him in one-on-one coverage. And he's one of the few guys in the league, Tony, I think, that there really isn't a matchup in the NBA where you need to send a double down in the post when he is guarding the guy with the ball in a post-up situation. So that's my quick pitch kind of on what he brings.
Well, that last thing is ironically, everybody here can make the high-level pitch, but last night we were talking to players for the first time, 2 nights ago when this comes out, and 2 players said that. Aaron Nesmith was like, oh my God, we don't have to double in the post anymore, right? And they're getting smoked by Şengün this month, and Paolo Banchero, they're doubling him, and then the Magic just killed him. I'm not saying he's going to be guarding Paolo all the time, but that has been a problem for the Pacers. And if you can just set it and forget it at a very important defensive position, that's a critically important thing, especially for a team that, this is no surprise to anyone, the Pacers are known for their offense. Elevating your floor on that end of the court is very helpful. And I'm not saying that they're going to be a better defensive team than offensive team, but Siakam, Zubac, Neesmith Nembhard is an awesome quartet of
It is,
like spectacular. And it just so happens that your star point guard might not be very good on that end of the floor. So if you can have some yin and yang going on, I think that'll work well from a fit perspective, just naturally for that lineup. What a lot of people ask about is, as the NBA becomes about pace and space, like Zubac isn't fast, right? What exactly makes him so awesome on defense?
Yeah, I mean, his positioning is good, and I think we have seen with big men over the decades, right, that positioning and experience and smarts can offset a lot of speed. So Zoo is a guy, I will say, he actually does decently on the perimeter. Like the Clippers will switch screen and rolls and leave him on an island on the perimeter. The Clippers, like when they play the Warriors, they will switch that and like they'll soft switch and leave Zoo in an island on Steph Curry. So it's not like he's completely hopeless on the perimeter. He is a guy who is going to play a step back and go for a contest on a shot rather than risk the blow by. And a lot of times that causes fans, I think, to get frustrated because what they see is he's playing too far back and a guy gets an easy shot up. And what they maybe don't see is if you look percentage wise at what a guy shoots with Ivica Zubac getting a hand up, closing out on him, you'll see that that's maybe not a terrible outcome for the defense at large.
I would also imagine that the percent of shots at the rim when he's on the floor allowed is way lower in that case because of that.
Yeah. Throughout his career, he's a deterrent at the rim. The Clippers, even when he was younger and still kind of a fringe starter compared to a quality starter that he is now, the Clippers played a lot of drop coverage, so they were keeping him back. And yeah, I'm curious, maybe even Indiana may not schematically want him to play as deep as the Clippers did. I'm thinking the Pacers have, in Siakam, they really have an athlete at power forward that the Clippers, through most of Zubac's career, I guess you could say John Collins now maybe is a similar type of athlete, but of course not quite the same. But through most of Zoo's career, the Clippers have not really had a large four or a real four or a mobile four. So maybe the Pacers will be more comfortable having Zoo step out and contest jumpers and still rebounding behind him. The Clippers were never able to rebound if Zoo wasn't in the lane, so he had to stay in the lane.
I'll be very curious about the Siakam Zubac fit in general. I mean, teams were willing to switch 4s and 5s against Miles Turner, and there's a lot of compromise that came with that, and they generally did a good job finding solutions there. That's not going to be possible as much anymore. Like you put a tiny 4 on Zoo, good luck. That's not going to go super well on the offensive end. And of course, again, he's going to be fine on defense. On the other end, Siakam can guard most 4s. Great. You're happy with that as the Pacers. You mentioned something that I find very interesting, and that is his improved short roll decision-making. I'm not even necessarily concerned isn't even the right word, but like want to dive in so much with that because the way the Pacers play is not a bunch of like screen roll, reset, do it again. They just do action to action. It's very random. It's very fast. What they ask of their centers a lot of times is like you're at the top of the key or swinging it side to side. You're deciding which side it should go to. Do you go to a handoff? Do you not? And maybe short roll is the perfect description of this, but what do you make of his decision making? Because his size and screen setting generally leads to good handoff play, space creation in general. He finishes well around the rim, so he gets tagged a lot. If he is going to be asked to do what I just described, how do you envision that going for him?
Yeah, I mean, I think as far as decision-making is concerned, what I would say is he still can be turnover prone. You don't really want to play through him, but his ability to make and execute reads is something that was not there 5 years ago that is there now. And I think probably, would I say that Zubac is a good passing center when we think about all of the guys in the NBA today that you can genuinely play through at the 5? No, I would not. But I do think that he is probably better than your average center at sort of interior passing. Actually, with Derek Jones Jr. and John Collins, he has been throwing a lot of lobs, like backdoor lobs. Not a lot, but several this season. He's able to find that read when it's open. And he's able to find weak side corner shooters from the roll. There's a level there that I just think, even as someone who liked Zoo 3 years ago, I probably didn't think we would get to. Like, I think the Pacers will probably have multiple possessions a game where the play call is to dribble the ball down, throw it to the wing, and post enter to Zubac. Like, not even because it's a mismatch for him to take advantage of. If he has a mismatch, he'll seal the guy beneath the rim and get a layup. But he is an efficient one-on-one post scorer as well. And when teams bring help, he can make a read to get the ball out of there.
I think that is totally true. What I think his strongest non-touching the ball impact on offense is going to be, you can speak to this more, is the Pacers love rim pressure. Every team does to some extent. And the way they like to keep rim pressure alive after drives is cuts from the weak side, from the dunker spot, whatever, to keep not even the on-ball defenders occupied at the basket. And Zoo is extremely good at those duck-ins, at least when I've watched him play, right? Oh, there's a little bit of space by the basket? Great, I'm going to pop into the space. I'm wide open. I think that will behoove him and the team quite a bit, even if he's not necessarily so involved in the possession. And then he's in position for an offensive rebound. He'll be the best screen setter I've covered since Sabonis. I'm looking forward to seeing this offensive fit because people have questions about it, and I'll get to those. But I think there's a lot of his strengths are either things that naturally fit to what the Pacers do, or at least him just being huge is an element that will help everybody.
Yeah, I do think I think he's going to fit great with Haliburton. Zoo knows, like you said, he knows how to find those crevices and how to make himself available for a pass in the pick and roll, which is something we saw, him and James Harden really benefit from each other's presence in that regard. Haliburton, for me, is, the best. I mean, you can call different players point guards, but he is the best at point guard stuff in the NBA.
Yes.
And I think Zoo is going to, be available to him as a role man. And I even think that Siakam could do really well playing off of the Haliburton Zoo action, as I was talking about, as that cutter, as that athlete, because Zoo is a capable passer. I do worry a little more about, will Siakam have the same type of space to work with in terms of driving the lane? Zoo, and this is something that Clippers fans have observed over the years too. Like, the Clippers right now, their backup center has been Brook Lopez. And you see the openness in the court for players to drive and get to the rim when Brook is out there and he is popping on every possession, more like a Miles Turner, compared to Zoo, who is almost always hovering, within 12 feet of the basket. That said, I would take I would take Ivica Zubac over Brook Lopez or Miles Turner any day. So I do think that, like, he brings a lot of offsetting good, but I could foresee that being a little more cramped, a little more challenging than it was last season for the Pacers.
So you just described why I think that top of the key pitch and swing side to side stuff is going to be so important for him, because one way to make it not matter what his spacing level is give him the ball, right? Get him in the action right away. Not just kind of sag a defender really far off, because then if he sets a screen, it's 2-on-1, and there will be a shooter open. I think critically, Siakam has become a better shooter. With Toronto, he was not a good three-point shooter. He's been 39% with the Pacers. That will also make it less important. He can just step out if he needs to, but that obviously is of some concern, because people like to say, Zubac isn't a good shooter. He doesn't shoot. It's not even that he's not. That's not. Can't. Like, what's he taking in his career?
There, yeah.
5 threes? That might have been too high.
I think he may have made one at one point.
He's 1 for 12.
Okay, great. Yeah, and most of those are probably in the heave era before they stopped counting those, right? Like, I mean, no, he's not. You won't see him out there. He takes less than 10. Every now and then, like late in a shot clock or something, you'll see him take like a 12-foot jumper. And that will be like maybe 2 or 3 times in a season. And you'll be like, oh my God, Zoo just took a jumper. That's not his game. He's not going to do that.
25% of his threes are heaves. His career. I love that so much.
And I'll also say, I think a lot of those he has taken because he had this Iron Man streak for a while. So when you get to like game 81, game 82, where teams are resting everyone, he would start, take a 3 on the first possession, and then check out to keep his Iron Man streak going.
I saw a Jared Allen game where I was at the Cavs game last year. It was their 82nd game. And he started, and the jump ball happened, and he fouled. And then he was done. I was like, that shouldn't count. That shouldn't count as a game. Good for you, I suppose. You mentioned James Harden. How much do you feel like that unlocked Zoo in any way? Because I'm not saying him and Haliburton are the same player, but that is a very good with the ball operator around a screen or taking space and getting the offense going. a close facsimile to what might be coming with the Haliburton pairing.
Yeah, I mean, I think what did James Harden mean to Ivica Zubac? Ivica Zubac had the best season of his career when James Harden showed up. The only full season that he played with James Harden is by far the best season of his career, which is not this current season, it's last season. Right. He's actually taken kind of a step back this year compared to the level from last year. But no, I mean, that partnership meant a ton to him. I think it meant a ton to him both in terms of, yes, James set him up a lot. Like that was a very popular assist pairing. I think one of the leaders in the league of like player A to player B assists. And also I think that gave him a lot of confidence, right? Because you bring in this guy who's been an MVP, this guy's all these all-stars, all these all-NBAs. He comes in, he's going to be the point guard and the leader of the team for the Clippers. And who does he want to work with? Who does he want to get reps with? Who does he want to get comfortable with? It's not Kawhi Leonard. It's not Paul George. It's Zoo that he's asking to stay after practice to work with him. And they developed a really big rapport that both helped Zoo become a better basketball player and helped Zoo become more confident, which allowed him to execute at a higher level the things he was already good at. So I think both the on-court fit relationship, but also the sort of behind-the-scenes relationship there meant a lot for Zoo and did a lot for Zoo in his development.
Haliburton is a mega connector as like a human also. So I would imagine that could be a similar path.
I have eminent faith in Tyrese Haliburton.
That is smart. Even post Achilles, I would make that investment.
You don't have to tell me anything about Tyrese Haliburton. I am like
good. Well, guess what? His mere existence is the reason they're willing to do this bet.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So that's a big part of this. A quick one that you would know better than anyone. Is there anything about his development? Because he's been with the Clippers for most of his career after a very stupid Lakers trade. Good job, Lakers. That got him to this point that's like, did you expect he'd ever be this awesome on defense? Like, how did you see this all going for him right after they got him?
Yeah, I would say probably up until the Clippers got James Harden, Zoo had like developed nicely along the trajectory that we probably expected for him, which is he was kind of a fledgling young player. They started him when he probably wasn't one of the best 30 centers in the NBA, but they knew that they were investing in him. He grows into a guy who's probably a solid starting center. Like you can rely on him for a double-double. Your defense is going to be solid, but still at that point in his career, he's playing less than 30 minutes a game. They're going small to space the floor as an alternative. That is kind of where I thought we would get with Zoo. And then the James Harden leap, which is like, you really can't take Zoo off the court. Like the Clippers didn't worry so much in the last 2 years about, going small. Like they used to love putting Nico Batum at center instead of Zoo to close games. They stopped doing that. Zoo's too good to take off the court. He was just, too good. You started having these games where Zoo was like the best player on the court. In a game with Kawhi Leonard and James Harden, he was the Clippers' best player. And it wasn't just like a game where he had 30. It was like, oh no, here's another like 25 and 18 game where he was dominant and on both ends and just like the reason that the other team never had a chance. So I would say probably up until the Clippers got James Harden, he was like nicely following a development trajectory that you would expect for him. And then in that tenure with James Harden, and especially last season, really was just dominant. You really felt him on both ends of the court in a lot of games.
So naturally, every trade is the best thing ever. These are the greatest players ever. And Zoo has a lot of things that make him fit very well with the Pacers, which is why they invested quite a bit in him. What are his weaknesses? I mean, we already said that he doesn't make the reason to take him. Like, what would you view beyond that as his weaknesses as an NBA player?
Yeah. The jump shooting thing is not a weakness, right? It's like, was it Shaq's weakness that he couldn't shoot threes? He didn't. Zoo doesn't. But no, I think there are a couple notable ones. We talked about foot speed earlier, right? And like, I do think that he often leaves shooters with more space than you would ideally want to, because he does not want to get burned by them. That I also think that's a schematic thing. Carlisle might be, again, with a different defensive situation and a lot more length around him in Indiana, Carlisle might be a little more willing to let Zoo get beat on the perimeter, which the Clippers, if Zoo ever got beat on the perimeter for the Clippers, it was a layup guaranteed. So you had to play him conservatively. I would also say the real big one that comes to mind is sort of a motor issue that he has at times. I wouldn't describe him as a low motor player, but he gets mopey. He has bad body language at times, and when he gets into his bad body language Zoo moments, there's often like 3 or 4 possessions in a row where his sort of attitude, mopiness, body language is costing the team. So, I think one of the reasons why that started to come about in his Clippers tenure was because of frustration playing with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, and so often playing without Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. And, to put it in perspective a little bit, right? Like, Zoo was the backbone of a Clippers defense for stretches of play where George and Leonard were both injured or out.
Everybody, quick break so we can talk about PrizePicks. Shoot your shot on PrizePicks. Get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. That's right. PrizePicks is giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5 lineup. They make every dunk, every dime, and every board that much more exciting. It's America's #1 app for sports picks. PrizePicks is simple to play. You just pick more or less. On 2 to 6 player stat projections, if your picks are right, you can cash in. You can choose from basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer, UFC, and more. Plus, they've got features like early payouts and flex play. So you've got options. Well, the games are still happening. You download the app, you'll be surprised how easy it is to get started. Just a couple minutes, you'll be building your first lineup. NBA lineups around players you already follow, more or less on their points or assists or whatever. It makes every possession more fun to watch. And there's a social feature. You can see what other people are doing. Copy their lineup with one click. A cool way to learn and build better picks, and it's available in all 50 states. Easy for anybody to jump in. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $50 in lineups after you play that first $5 lineup on PrizePicks. It's good to be right.
Where they were in a sort of having a stretch where they're like an average defense and a terrible offense. And the main offensive guys on that team are like Reggie Jackson and Marcus Morris. And Zoo's job is to like backbone a defense that, by the way, includes Reggie Jackson and Marcus Morris, neither of who could defend. Like hold opposing teams under 95.
I asked you about Zoo's weaknesses, not Reggie Jackson and Marcus.
My point is, he gets mopey. He'll put his head down. He'll throw his arms up like he's frustrated. He'll be lazy to get back on defense because he thought he got fouled and it didn't get called. And I know that's not unique among high-profile NBA players. I do think it is something for Zoo that you could visibly notice and see affect stretches of play more frequently than is common in the NBA.
Well, that will be important because the Pacers play pretty dang fast. I don't know, Lucas. I will be fascinated by that, certainly, and him in general. And we'll see his fit a little bit, I suppose, when he is recovered from this. I don't know if you heard, Lucas, devastating ankle injury suffered.
Well, I'm thinking about what it would be like to be married and living in Los Angeles for 7 years and then have your child born and then get traded to Indiana. Like all this is all like a 48-hour span from, and he I was even thinking, he has to go do a physical. Like you have to leave your wife and your newborn child to go, fly to Indianapolis for a physical. Maybe they should have flown the doctor to him to do the physical.
Maybe they did. That'd be a fun story
I hope
to
so.
investigate.
Yeah.
What else to do a
little tip for you, Tony.
Yes.
Check it out. Look into it for me, all right?
Okay. You know who else has to do a physical, Lucas? The 30th pick in the 2023 NBA draft.
Actually, Tony, I don't think he has to. I don't think if
Are you saying he was included to make this a 2-for-2 trade and because he fits under the tax for the Pacers, Lucas? Is that what you're talking
I think he was included because the Clippers were trying to dump his salary. And I think this was like the Clippers could have given someone else a second round pick, but instead they got one fewer second round pick from Indiana, and Indiana ate Kobe Brown for them.
Well, that is not a ringing endorsement to start my question of Lucas. What is Kobe Brown? How is he going to factor into this?
Did you see they asked about why the Brooklyn Nets waived Cam Thomas? Did you see the Jordy Fernandez answer?
I, in fact, did see him call him not a good teammate, not a bad teammate. He called him a teammate. That made me laugh.
Yeah.
Yes, I saw that answer.
That's I feel like my answer about Kobe Brown is going to ring similar. What I will say is Kobe, there's no character issues. There's never anything like issues in the locker room or attitude or anything like that. By all accounts, he was a good teammate. But by no account was he a good basketball player. And he is a guy that the Clippers declined the 4th-year option on because he has shown no signs of being even like playable NBA depth. I think he's probably in real life, I think he's probably about 6'5". But he has to play the power forward position because he's slow. And then he's supposed to be a shooting power forward, but he only shoots, mid 20% from 3. So he's, it just is what it is. Here's a guy who's a useful, resourceful college player that cannot handle the level up of skill and physicality in the NBA. But at this point, he's 26 years old. My favorite fun fact of this Clippers trade deadline, by the way, because they also traded James Harden for Darius Garland, is that Darius Garland is younger than Kobe Brown.
You know who else is younger than Kobe Brown? Tyrese Haliburton.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Kobe Sanders, who has been playing a ton for the Clippers this year as a rookie, is older than Bennedict Mathurin, who the Clippers just traded for. So, there's maybe some upside abound with some of these.
The Clippers and Pacers in this trade can both exchange notes on the very big risks on drafting a very old player. Right, the Pacers picked Chris Duarte, and he was good as a rookie. He made all rookie, and they still traded him a year later. Right, like if you're picking a guy old, it's not that they have to be ready; they have to be good immediately, or else it's just not worth it because you lose so many important development years. And I learned that the hard way too. Look, I can't say I have I've watched enough Clippers games over the years. I can't say I have any impression of Kobe Brown because he doesn't play very much.
No,
and he's not very efficient, and he's not that great on defense. And it's kind of just like a "what do you do here" question, and then maybe a change of scenery makes those answers different. But I have just like no idea what to even make of him.
He's not an NBA player. There's not an NBA player in there to find himself in new changes. It would be absolutely stunning to me to see him he's had games, I would say, where the Clippers are down 4 guys, so he's going to play 12 minutes as the backup 4, and he's going to come in and shoot 3 of 5 in those 12 minutes. It's like a Kobe Brown game where he has 8 points. But he doesn't. That's not consistent. He can't do if he has to play 10 games in a row as the backup. He's going to look like he doesn't belong on the court in most of them. So I don't want to go on and on the negative side, but
Well, I largely you are what you've shown. The guy that changed I'll give him a chance for everybody. Jalen Smith got traded to the Pacers. Are you aware of this whole saga?
Yeah.
His 3rd-year option was declined, right? What? A top 10 pick, insane. And then he was good for them immediately. And I'm not saying that's going to happen here. I just that is the theoretical, you name your percent chance as the Pacers or as Kobe Brown or as an observer that happens again. And then they ran into the issue of paying him what his contract limitations were. That same thing would exist for Kobe Brown, but he'd have to be pretty dang good to change his reputation enough.
When the Pacers got Jalen Smith for his 3rd NBA season, he was over a full year younger than Kobe Brown was when the Clippers drafted him 4 years ago.
Wow.
So that's my rebuttal to your comparison.
I'm not even saying that I expect that to happen, to be clear. I don't expect that to happen. It's just that has happened one time in my life.
Sure, the Pacers are terrible. This guy's on the payroll. Why not have him around for a couple weeks and even just practice? See does he look like he can play at all or not? Get your own data on him, right? The Clippers are going to get their own data on Isaiah Jackson and Bennedict Mathurin, who's obviously at a different echelon of NBA talent, but figuring out what to pay him, the Clippers are going to. I hope they play him a ton down the stretch so they can get a feel for that.
Well, Lucas, Obi Toppin's hurt. Zubac has this ankle thing. They need
Zubac's ankle is
Kobe Brown.
Man, let me tell you, that thing is screwed up.
Thank you for being immediately in on the bit. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'll tell you, Tony, I was in the locker room last Sunday, and his ankle was the size of a grapefruit.
Everybody, please realize that is not a real thing.
I don't even live in Los Angeles. I haven't covered a game.
I heard three
like 3
grapefruits,
years.
so I'm glad
it was the size of 3 grapefruits.
I'm glad you were on the scene to dispel the rumor of the size of. Yeah, so the Kobe Brown, we'll see. They should give him burn because why not? We all know what their incentives are this season, and maybe he'll be good. But yeah. Yes,
go Pacers, lose all the games.
I think they would agree with that assessment, Lucas. I think
yeah, you and I are allies in this.
What an odd thing. Well, that's actually a good segue to end this. I mean, what did you think of this trade, just generally?
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of like the odd sort of incentive structure, I think it's actually why I really like the pick protections on this for the Clippers, because they were able to, bookend it in a way that like the Clippers benefit if the Pacers do what benefits themselves the most, the Clippers also benefit from that. So I think that makes it kind of a really nice trade. And, teams always say they're looking for win-wins when they make trades. And I think that helps. Here, my immediate takeaway on this trade, Tony, honestly, is that I did not think the Clippers would get this much for Ivica Zubac. And I thought that they would keep him because I did not think they would get this much for him. I was sad to see him go. I have loved Zoo as a Clipper for years. Zoo, I mean, I know we talked a little bit about strengths and weaknesses. If case anything was left ambiguous, Zoo is extremely popular and beloved among Clippers fans. I think he has been a phenomenally good player for them over the years. I really like the Pacers and Tyrese Haliburton, and I am really hoping that Zoo can find another level and be a 2020 guy and have success there. Like, it would thrill me so much to watch that team. So yeah, I was quite sad to see him go, but I also, within 48 hours of the deadline, had been on the trade machine and looking what Indiana had to offer and gone, there's no way that they would give the Clippers their 2026 pick. And yet they did with the protections, but to get it and to then also get that other future first round pick, it was the type of deal that if the Clippers had said no to it and it had leaked afterwards that they had said no to that, I would have been like, what are you thinking not to getting that return for him? I'll say the same for the James Harden trade that they made last week. I was really sad to see James go. I have loved James as a Clipper, even though I was not a big James Harden fan earlier in his career. But if it had came out that the Clippers had turned down Darius Garland for James Harden, I would have said, what are you thinking?
Oh, wait, but they got a second too.
I would have even used some more words than that. But,
Are
this is
those
the Locked On
words,
Podcast
Are those
Network.
words sometimes described as profane? Or
This is the Locked On Podcast Network, Tony.
As you know well, sir.
As I know well.
Look, and even if the Pacers think the value is high, this is when you do it. When you think you can, they did show it last year. When you think you can win, now you do something like this. If you think the guy's the right guy, you overpay for him right now. And who knows if Zoo would have been available in the summer? I'd suspect if the Harden trade, maybe, right? People talked about the summer being this the Pacers could get their center then. Okay, maybe. But they don't have Ben Mathurin's salary in the summer, right? It's a different trade completely.
Tony, can I ask you?
Yes.
So Miles Turner is going to make about $7 million more than Ivica Zubac. Is that $7 million margin for the Pacers worth 2 first-round picks?
And Ben and Isaiah.
Yeah, and Ben is a guy like the Pacers weren't going to pay him. Maybe they lose him anyway. I could see Ben being a guy that maybe at the 11th hour on deadline day of his expiring deal, they were like, whatever, right? But
no, to your question though, but
is that $7 million worth 2 first-round picks?
I don't even know if it's that. Like, if you asked anyone, what would you rather have? Miles Turner on his current contract and 2 first or Zoo, right? People would certainly think about it and probably land on the former, right? And obviously, the problem with saying that is it's not like yes, the Pacers had a choice. If they offered Miles Turner more, perhaps he'd be on their team. But he left. Like, he made the choice. So it's not like necessarily they just pick one off the shelf and that's the choice they get. But yes, that is certainly a fair question to ask, is did they have to do this because
I remember there being a narrative at the time, and I don't know the Pacers cap situation as well as you do, but just around like sort of keeping the team together with Miles Turner at 20 million plus.
Well, if they were willing to dump Jackson and Mathurin, they could have gotten out of the tax too, right? Like,
yeah, okay. So basically, if they had been willing to bail on Mathurin a year ago, maybe this equation looks different for them.
it does, but is their team as good? And is there? But then you're asking, is it worth two first? Right? You're asking the right question, right? So, and that will be the tell of this last 7 months for the Pacers, right? Is how good, like how good are they next time they play postseason games? And I will cite the same stat to you that I cited the day they made the trade. Lucas, they have not lost a single playoff series that Tyrese Haliburton finishes healthy. Undefeated, right? Until that is shaken, you got to go for it. And you got to go for it hard. And they maybe they'll admit they messed up. Maybe they don't think they messed up with Turner. I'm not going to spend too much on that, right? Like that particular decision they made or that he made. But then they had to pivot to do something else. And they had to do it. And then people kept, I said the summer thing already. You're a Cap guy. You understand this. Right. I would suspect Zoo would also have been available in the summer, given that James Harden got traded away from the Clippers specifically. But that's why I talked about their fungible contracts now, because Mathurin is not. And if he was, it's a sign and trade, and then base year compensation makes this either impossible or they're paying so much for him that the Clippers are like, wait, hold on, we don't want to pay Ben Mathurin that much money. And so then the picks or the players have to be completely different, right? And so who knows what the trade would have been, how different it looked, if the Clippers would even have done it. And the Pacers would have known their draft pick at that point. How does that change? Like, you just don't know what's available to you.
Yeah.
And if you know this is available now,
you know you can get him.
You get him. Yeah, especially if you think he's the guy.
Well, I will say this for the Zubac Turner question. I don't know if you would agree with me on this, Tony, but I will say that you could ask me this question today, a week ago. You could have asked me it last June. You could have asked me it a year ago, 2 years ago. I would have said I would rather have Ivica Zubac than Miles Turner, contracts aside.
Yeah, and his contract is way, way better.
I think he's the better basketball player. And I know that's not something that probably Pacers fans would have been thrilled with me saying for much of the last 2 to 3 years. But I believe strongly that Zoo is a better player than Miles Turner. And so even if the Pacers, what could have been, now they have to spend draft picks to get a new starting center in the door in that $20 million price bracket. I do think they have a better NBA player who does more to help you win.
I am higher on Miles than most, and I agree with you, first of all. And also, this basketball's not a one-on-one sport, so this is extremely stupid to say. But, like, if you get your butt kicked by the guy every time the two teams play, that guy might be better than you. You know what's funny, though? What got that theory into my head? Early career Karl Towns was good. And every time the Minnesota Timberwolves would play the Pistons, Andre Drummond would just kick his butt. And I'm like, man, I think Cat is better, but like maybe Drummond is better than him, right? Maybe he is. And the answer was no. But at the time I felt that way. And that it's not a one-on-one sport, but that has always stuck with me.
Drummond may have had, I would have to look. I'm not confident in saying this. He may have had a year where he was better than Cat.
That's reasonable. Yes. Yes.
Like Drummond's peak was fairly high.
He was a multi-time All-Star. He's good.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think anyone would have ever felt like, oh, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and Cat had like the pedigree and he came in as the top draft pick and, he was always a star, right?
I had one more thing to say and I completely lost it. Oh, yeah. And the other thing that obviously the Pacers Zubac lore. You know what I'm going to say, don't you?
The Pacers Zubac
the 31-29 game was against the Pacers?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the Clippers have had some. I mean, the Clippers have had some games against the Pacers. Was it not against the Pacers that
last year's was nuts? Yes,
Nico Batum had 30 points in the second half of a game against the Pacers.
He sure did.
Yeah, yes, I guess I haven't even really thought about that, but Pacers fans must be like, what happens every time we play the Clippers? Why is it always something random?
And Pascal always plays amazing in LA. Like it's just a thing. People call him Pascalifornia. He loves to go crazy against the Clippers. Like. It's a thing. Yeah. And for us, for content, Lucas, how great that these teams have not played yet this year. So some juicy, fun revenge acts. I'll predict right now, and I'll say it on you guys' show too, that Ben Mathurin is going to try to score 7,000 points.
That in that game or just in general?
Well, he does like to score lots of points.
That is what I assume he's going to do.
6,000 in most games is his goal. 7,000 in that game will be his goal.
When he steps on the court on Tuesday, I'm like, I think he's going to try to get the basketball, then try to score the basketball.
Don't say that to Rick Carlisle. We need the physicals to pass, Lucas. We'll see if we're at the point of them playing by Tuesday, right?
I think we're good. I don't think Kobe Brown needs to pass his physical for the Pacers to want to do the trade.
I would agree with your assessment. Lucas, thank you very much. You don't use social media, but I can still ask you to tell people where to find Clippers coverage of. They have 2 Pacers players now, 2 ex-Pacers.
Yeah. My podcast is called 213 Hoops, the Lob, the Jam, the podcast. 213 Hoops is my company. We also have a blog, 213hoops.com, and another show that does shorter episodes and YouTube live streams and stuff called Clips and Dip. And all of those have social media, Twitter handles that are the same as the names that I just told you. But I guess I do have a Twitter, but I don't use it anymore. So you can just find me by finding the podcast.
213 is numbers of the players, right? I'm not stupid.
Okay, so 213 had a double meaning. It was actually a long time reader and subscriber when we left Vox Media and started an independent company who suggested this. 213, yes, Kawhi Leonard wears number 2 and Paul George wore number 13, and they were the Clippers' 2 stars. But also 213 is the zip code of Inglewood, where the Clippers' new Intuit Dome is.
Very nice.
So
I get to see it in a couple weeks. I'm excited.
Oh, yeah. I hope that you have a fantastic time. Let me know what you think. Hopefully you don't get charged for anything that you didn't purchase.
Now I know that that's a problem to worry about. So
yeah, well, they do the facial recognition checkout thing, and it's a recurring complaint that I hear from Clippers fans.
Good deal. Well, everybody, check out Lucas and his work covering the Clippers, especially to hear more about Mathurin and Jackson's new venture in LA. We'll be back tomorrow talking, I'm sure what everybody wants to hear about after the Super Bowl, Pacers Raptors. Woohoo! A Sunday game for the Pacers. Thank you all so much for listening. We'll see you very soon.